Cowboy here. Today's video is all about slaying Ubers with the Frenzy Barb. This video is going to be broken up into 4 parts. We'll go over stats and skills, gear, strategy, and then afterthoughts. Most importantly, in between all that information, we'll go over the things you need to know to customize your build and hopefully help you tackle the Uber bosses your way. Keep in mind that this isn't the definitive version for the best Uber Barb on the planet, just one of many get the job done builds that I love to make. Quick overview, the Frenzy Barb isn't the fastest Uber running character, he's just really fun to play. This gear is middle of the road when it comes to cost, so there's still a lot of room for speeding up your runs with better gear or finding budget options if you're still on the hunt for more endgame equipment. I want to quickly thank all the viewers, people who comment, and especially those that have subscribed to the channel. Whether you agree with the builds, like the videos, really appreciate the feedback and engagement. I'm just happy to be part of a wonderful community of gamers. Let's start with the stats. Make sure to have the minimum amount of strength and dexterity needed to wear all your gear. Be sure to take into account any plus to attributes already on gear and charms that you're carrying. Next, feel free to distribute points into vitality and strength as needed. I've found around 300 to 450 vitality is a good place to finish depending on your playstyle. Keep in mind, the more strength you have, the more damage, which also means more base life leech. Don't be afraid to use tokens to respec if you decide that you want to be more tanky or lean more heavily in damage output. For the skill tree, you'll likely want to follow the standard Frenzy Barbarian build. Assuming you're at least level 85, here's a good place for your skill distribution. For your masteries, you'll put 20 points into your weapon of choice. That will most likely be between axes, maces, or swords, since you'll be dual wielding weapons. Next, put 1 point into increased stamina, 1 point into increased speed, 1 point into iron skin, and 1 point into natural resistance. Natural resistance is a good place where you can spend extra skill points to boost your resistance to elemental damage if you need it, especially when you don't have gear to support yourself during your early Uber slaying adventures. This particular build showcase already sports an ample amount of resistances, so saving those extra points for a skill like Howl, Berserk, or Taunt can be a good idea. For your war cries, you'll start with 1 point into Howl, 1 point into Taunt, 1 point into Shout, 20 points into Battle Orders, and 1 point into Battle Command. You'll also put 1 point into Find Potion and 1 point into Find Item. These skills aren't for Ubers, but they're nice to have. Like I mentioned earlier, feel free to put extra points into Howl if you want to increase your ability to crowd control. For your combat skills, you'll put 1 point into Bash, 20 points into Double Swing, since that synergizes with Frenzy, 1 point into Double Throw, and 20 points into Frenzy. You'll also put 1 point into Stun, 1 point into Concentrate, and 1 point into Berserk so you can deal with physical resistance monsters. Adding 1 point into Leap is optional when you already have Enigma. I like Leap. It's a good skill for crowd control. Really up to you if you want to use it. Now for everyone's favorite part, and the most important part, gear. This barbarian carries Breath of the Dying on the main hand and a Death on the offhand. Feel free to change things up. Other good weapons include the Oath, Crescent Moon, really anything with high damage output, and the Uber slaying traits like Crushing Blow, Chance of Open Wound, and Prevents Monster Heal. Now you're probably wondering, where's the Grief? While there's no doubt Grief is the best weapon in the game, this build shows that you can slay Ubers with other powerful weapons and not be a slave to the meta. One weapon I think is really underrated is the Silence rune word. I love switching to this weapon when fighting Mephisto, since Silence comes with a huge 75% boost to all resistances. For my armor, I wear Enigma when chasing down the body parts, and then I switch to Chains of Honor for the added resistance once I get inside Tristram. You could use cheaper options that offer good resistances like Smoke, Prudence, Treachery, Duress, then stack extra resistance charms for a budget option. Mephisto can be deadly with Conviction Aura, so just make sure to have enough resistance when going into Tristram. You'll need at least 275% if you want to keep all your resistances at max level, even with Conviction Aura active. For the helmet, an Ariet's Face or a Guillaume's Face, aka a G-Face, work well here. Ariet's Face works well if you're looking for more resistances. Guillaume's Face is definitely stronger, but isn't as tanky. For the gloves, Dracule's is almost a must. You really want life tap running so you don't die. If you don't have Dracule's, you'll need a life tap wand to make sure you stay alive. Laying of Hands is a great secondary option for the added damage, attack speed, and fire resistance resistance if you are holding a life tap wand. For the belt, I use String of Ears for the life leech and damage reduction. Verdungos works well here too for the damage reduction. Thunder Gods is another great option if you want to pile on your resistance to lightning, since it increases your maximum lightning resistance by 10%. For the boots, you'll either want to go with Ghoul Riders or Goblin Toes for the added crushing blow. More crushing blow really makes a difference when slaying Ubers and bosses. For the rings, Ravenfrost is a must if you're not getting the cannot be frozen trait on any of your gear. Having a Cham inside an Ariet's face or the Guillaume's face is a great way to have a different ring if you don't want to use Ravenfrost. Ravenfrost is a great ring though because of its added attack rating and cannot be frozen trait. The second ring that you want to wear is anything that adds to your resistance, your life leech, and attack rating. A rare ring works very well in this slot. For the amulet, Metal Grid is the perfect option for a Frenzy Barbarian. The added attack rating and resistances is really a perfect fit. If you're looking for budget options for jewelry, the Angelic Wings and Halo combo are amazing for adding a ton of attack rating at endgame levels. Some honorable mentions I want to point out are the Life Tap one. I like to use these even with all this great gear just to be safe. Also want to point out the Marowak boots since this has Life Tap built in. If you can't find either Gore Riders or Goblin Toes, look for Marowaks. And the last item I want to give an honorable mention to is the Tyrant Club. Tyrant Club is a great weapon for its level 23 enchant. Use it for enchanting your weapon and raise your attack rating by roughly 50%, which for me comes out to about 5,000 extra attack rating. Before wrapping up the gear section, I want to share a list of some traits you want to look for when shopping for gear. To slay Ubers, having things like Life Tap, Crushing Blow, added attack rating, plus to resistances, chance of open wounds, prevents monster heal, and damage reduction are all amazing traits you want to look for on gear. One thing you'll want to avoid is any item that can cast a curse that will cancel your life tap, since life tap is really your lifeline to staying alive. With the current setup, you're very tanky but not invulnerable. When you're fighting a boss, you want to make sure you have life tap casted. Preemptively casting life tap with the life tap wand helps by giving you a period of time where you can naturally hit it and cast it with your Drax. For both Izzy and Duriel, feel free to dive into the fight. Your base life leech should be enough to help you withstand the onslaught of attack from them. Use Howl in between attacks when you start to get crowded by minions. Howl also helps you to make sure that your attack is concentrated on the boss. Lilith is by far the most dangerous of the three lesser evils because the minions around her can cast the Amplify curse. If this happens, don't be afraid to spend a little time to clear the area first before diving in to slay Lilith. Definitely go at your own pace and don't be shy to visit Mala to remove the Amplify curse before fighting Lilith. Once your life tap cast on any of the bosses though, taking them down is a breeze. Once you get into Tristram, the strategy is to isolate each boss so you don't get overwhelmed. I like to take out Mephisto first because he's the only one with an aura and he's very dangerous. Mephisto can be pulled by walking to the top of Tristram and inching your way towards the buildings until you can aggro Mephisto towards your direction. You'll know when Mephisto finds you because there will be skeletons spawning around. Pull him towards the top of Tristram so you're isolated from both Baal and Diablo. Once you have Mephisto by himself, use Howl to move the mobs away and focus your attack on just Mephisto. Once you have life tap on, it shouldn't be a problem going up against Mephisto. Just make sure that you have enough resistance so you're not getting crushed by one of his lightning attacks. Baal can be pulled by walking to the bottom right or bottom left of the map and inching your way towards the center until you hear Baal or see one of Baal's attacks. Once you aggro Baal, he'll teleport to you so you can continue to lead him further away from Diablo. Baal likes to burn your mana, so carry a line of pots in case you need to cast Howl in between hits. Once you kill Baal, just dive in to kill Diablo. Congrats, you just slain Uber Tristram with the Frenzy Barbarian. Some final thoughts. The build is solid. For the most part, the Barbarian doesn't have trouble with survivability or crowd control, especially when life tap is active. The only real danger comes when the room you find Lilith in is packed with a group of angels who cast the Amplify curse and boost Lilith's damage, or when you're running up against Mephisto with less than optimal resistance. Some cons with the build though. The build can be considered slow to more seasoned players. When you compare the kill speed of a Smiter or a Kixen to the Frenzy Barbarian, the other builds are much faster. But what the Barbarian lacks in kill speed, he makes up for just being a fun character to play. Before I end the video, I want to say there are tons of meta builds out there. Don't feel like you have to have the best gear to enjoy the game. I've experienced the most fun when figuring things out, dying to Mephisto, and learning by doing. So definitely experiment and enjoy the game. Hopefully you learned something from this video video and it helps you along your journey. Again, thanks for all the support. Bash the like button if you found something useful. Subscribe if you love Diablo 2. Thanks for watching YouTube. I'm Cowboy, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.